you guys? What has it been like? What has your life been like since?
Yeah, that was probably the worst day of my life, because before when he was convicted, I thought, well, we're going to fight this, we're going to do this, but he'll never, it's like, we'll see, but I will get him out, and then when that day of sentencing, I was just, it was just the worst. It was just like, I'd been told my son was dead or something, it was just horrible. And then you got to just dust yourself off. And I thought, okay, got to keep going. I cannot live with this. I cannot live with him um, rotting away and essentially in a box. I mean, right now he's been since COVID on 22 to 24-hour lockdown in an 8x10 metal box fed through a slot in the door. No breaks. Now, right now it's 24 hours. Sometimes it used to, for a while, it was 22 hours, and they got out for 2 hours. 24 hours a day, day after day, in a metal box, staring at a metal wall because of COVID. This is unacceptable. This cannot. So basically, my lifespan, actually before sentencing and after sentencing, my main goal every day is the eye on the prize of Ross's freedom, of seeing him walk out of that place and going on to live his life, and I think make a contribution. I mean, Ross has a lot of very great ideas. He's quite intelligent. And he even recently wrote, it's published on medium.com, and he's written a lot of things that are on Medium as well as on our website. But just to show his intentions, I don't know if you're aware of the issue with WhatsApp being private, but pedophiles and other, nefarious people hiding behind that cover. And through artificial intelligence, Ross has come up with a way that can maintain privacy but still not allow that kind of activity. Don't ask me to explain it. I tried to read it. I can't even understand it. But he did run it by experts who said it's got a lot of promise. I think you're onto something, but he can't develop it because he's in prison. So that's just an example of the kind of thing he wants to do. He's very philanthropic, really, and compassionate. And that's where he was coming from with Silk Road. I'm not saying he didn't make a mistake. I'm not saying that it was a bad idea in a lot of ways. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying his intentions as a 26-year-old idealist, that's where he was coming from. And he's still idealistic, and he still cares about humanity. And he's being wasted. He's just being wasted in there.
So he's actually creating new concepts for technology and for these apps and still innovating from prison, essentially.
I mean, and he can't get on the internet. So I'm not sure exactly how he's managing this, but he's been reading about AI, artificial intelligence, for a while. And I don't know, he's got other writings in there about Bitcoin and even some things, personal things, like he has one that's the 5 keys to inner strength I learned in 5 years in prison is quite inspirational. His attitude is amazing. I'm inspired to keep going by him because he's so, he will not let himself be brought down and become bitter or become paralyzed by the situation. He just won't. And many, of course, understandably do. And he won't. He won't go down the negative track. I mean, I've been guilty myself of I have a few words to say about the judge, say to him. And he's like, nope, we're not going to go there. It's just, she's part of the system. It doesn't matter. She doesn't matter. It's all, and I'm like, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nope, we're not going to let this, because what can happen, of course, is the negativity and the anger and the fear and all that stuff can just drag you down to the point where he is very disciplined about that. And it helps me because I'm like, yeah, I got to control my thinking so I don't get dragged down, because I'm no good to anybody if I do.
What are your conversations like with Ross nowadays, and how often do you guys communicate?
No, well, he can't call anymore because he's on this 24-hour day lockdown. So usually, and he's got very limited minutes. He can't talk very long. So they're usually fairly, superficial in a way, because it's like, how are you? Are you feeling okay? What'd you eat? It's like, he's like, how are you? And, it's like that. And then it goes, you are talking to a federal
you have like 10 or 15 minutes, right? That's it.
Well, yeah, but he's saving his minutes. He's trying to ration his minutes. And so, yeah, it's so we don't usually talk a full 15 even because he wants to spread it out over the month. But now he has he can't call because they don't let him out of the cell because of COVID, even though in his unit there is no case of COVID. But, you know, don't ask me about why the prison does a lot of things.
What prison is he in?
He's at the maximum security prison in Tucson, Arizona.
Maximum security.
Yeah, he's been in maximum security prison. First, he went to Florence. And the reason he's in maximum is because of his sentence, because it's an automatic life sentence. You're in the maximum. If you went by his, they take a score for your offense levels in terms of your danger, even with his charges, which are, up his score.
Nonviolent.
Yeah, he'd be in a camp. When he came to that first prison in Florence, Colorado, which by the way is the step down from the Supermax, it's a huge prison complex. It's a very gang heavy, violence heavy prison that they threw him into. They said, "What are you doing in here?" They're looking at the paperwork going, "What are you?" And then they go, "Oh yeah, the sentence." He'd be in a camp. He'd be, based on his, score. And, but that's what they do. They put you in maximum. So now he is in a maximum, but he's in a safer place because the other place, what happened was he was being pressured with another guy, but they were being pressured to beat up what they said was a snitch, this guy. And this happens in there where they're like, you've got to do this, or else. And Ross said, look, I'm not violent. I'm not going to beat up some guy. I'm not going to do it. I don't even know the guy. I mean, why would I, And so he resisted and put himself in protective custody, which was solitary for like 3 months. And then thankfully was sent to Tucson, which is one of 3, what they call safe yards in the system for people who would be targeted if they were let into the regular population, which Ross would be now because he refused to do that. And so it's safe. It's still prison, it's still maximum security, but it doesn't have violent people in there. And so it's not as much of a danger, It was a very dangerous place he was in before.
But now you're saying he's confined into just a box by himself, basically
Oh yeah.
solitary.
No, he actually has hang on one second. He has a cellmate.
Okay. Now